Hello photographers, today we're looking at how you can use color gels to get more creative with your portraits. Now before we get started, if you want more great videos about photography, flash photography, editing, and all that other stuff, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Now if you're not familiar, color gels are these colored pieces of plastic that go over the flash and introduce color into your portrait. There are actually a couple of different types of gels. The first is what you would call a corrective gel, and they're usually these warming gels is what they're referred to. See, your flash is daylight balanced. In other words, the light that comes from your flash has no color tone to it. It is a perfect spectrum of light, and if you are shooting in a situation where you are using flash and there is an ambient light source, like maybe the sun or some tungsten light bulbs, those are going to have a different color cast to them. Tungsten light bulbs or the sun can have a orange or a warm tone to them. And so photographers will often use warming gels to warm their flash up and make that match the light that they're shooting in. There are also neutral density gels, and they work just like a neutral density filter for your lens. And what it does is just cut down the amount of light that's being introduced into the scene you are shooting. And you would use a neutral density gel if you were shooting in a situation where you could not lower the power of your flash far enough to get the look that you want. Now after that you have creative gels, and these are all the different colors of the rainbow, of the spectrum, just about any color you imagine. And these are where you can get really creative in your portraits, because you can use different colors to create different looks in your images. Things like this, and this, and this right here. These were all done using colored gels to change my lighting and create a really cool look for the portrait. So before we get started with how to actually use these in the portrait shooting, we need to look at how to attach them to the flash. And this style right here is sort of the standard style of gel you can get today. And these are designed to attach to your flash using a rubber band. What you do is you put the rubber band around the head of your flash, and then you're just supposed to tuck the tabs of the gel in underneath the rubber band, and that's supposed to hold the gel on your flash. Now that system works perfectly fine, but quite frankly I hate it because I find it way too fiddly and the gel doesn't hold tight, and it's just, in my opinion, it's just not very good. Now there are proprietary gel systems like the MagMod system that you're seeing here, and the advantage of this is that everything is pretty easy to work with. You have the MagMod thing that goes around your flash that has the big magnets in it, and then you have the MagMod gel holder that you just pop a gel into and slap that onto your flash, and boom, your gel is in place. The downside to something like the MagMod gel holder is you can only use gels that are designed to fit in that MagMod holder, and the whole setup is expensive. And if you like one of those systems and you want to use one, that's perfectly fine. I use my own DIY system, which is to take these tabbed gels, which you can get for pretty cheap. This gel pack I got here cost about $8, and I put some Velcro on the tabs so that I can very quickly and easily attach the gel to my flash in order to add the color to the scene that I'm shooting. Now, if you don't want to go the rubber band route, you can go the route of photographers of yore and even today and just use some gaff tape to hold your gel and attach it to your flash. I have done this in the past, and that is a perfectly serviceable solution as well. Either way, what you're going to need is your flashes, some gels, and a way to attach those gels to the flashes. Once you have that, you can start using them. So let's get to it. One of the first and easiest things you can do with a gel to spice up your portraits is to change the color of the background. This is going to be most effective on a neutral colored background, white, black, or gray. And as you can see for this demonstration, I've got a gray wall behind me that we're going to use for the background. Now, before we even start shooting with the gels, one of the most important things you have to consider when working with your gels is what color are you going to use and why. You don't just want to start throwing colors into your portraits all willy-nilly, because it's going to make things look wacko, and it's not going to complement the portrait that you're trying to create. So you have to think about the theme of the portrait. You have to consider the wardrobe that the subject or subjects is wearing. You have to think about how the colors are going to change your portrait. So for this example, let's say we want to take a portrait of me, and I've got my shirt on with my orange catchphrase here, and so we want to throw some orange on the background behind us. To do that, we're going to take this speed light here, and we're going to put an orange gel on it, and we don't want to see the light in the shot. And so what I'm going to do is just position the light directly behind me, pointing at the wall. And this is how you would do this if you're taking any type of a portrait where you can conceal the light behind the subject. And this light is set to 1/4 power. Now, the power level that you choose is really important. You have to consider the background you're shooting on and how intense you want your gelled light to be. Because the brighter your light is, the more tendency it's going to have to wash out the color. If it's too bright, then the color is going to get washed out completely. But the lower the power of your light, the less intensity you're going to get of that light on the background. So it's always a bit of a balancing act, and you often will have to do some testing. But if you're shooting against a gray backdrop, and you're going to position the light 2 to 3 feet away from that backdrop, you can shoot this at 1/4 power because I've already done the troubleshooting for you. So we're going to take this light and we're going to put it right behind me so that it's concealed. And I'm actually going to step over here to where the portrait camera is, and we're going to take that photo. So the light is out of the shot, and I'm just going to hit the self-timer button, and I'm going to stand here, and we're going to take this portrait. Yeah! Get out there and take some damn photos. Okay, so here's the shot right here, and you can see that there's definitely some orange on the background behind me. But to be honest, I would prefer something even more intense than that. It is certainly orange, but that's giving us a look that's more like a warming gel than it is giving us like a deep, rich orange color. To remedy that, what we're going to do is take a second gel, same color, and put it over the top of the flash so that they are doubled up. And by doubling up the gel, I'm forcing the light to pass through 2 instances of the same color, which is going to add even more color to the light. And this is an easy trick to make that color richer and more intense. So now with that doubled up gel behind me, I'm going to again hit the self-timer, and we'll take that portrait. And of course, you've noticed that I don't have any other lights on me right now. We're just setting up the background at this point. So here we go. I'm now here. You can see this image. We've got some pretty intense orange that looks really cool. Quick, easy, simple way to spice up your portraits. But we're not done with this yet, because when you're adding a gel, you have to consider all of your other lights and how they're going to interact with that gelled light. You can get away with sloppy lights when you're just using your lights without adding any color. But when you add another light with another color or with no color at all, and it interacts with your gelled light, it's going to change how that looks. And let me demonstrate. I've got this light up here positioned and preset already. This light is set to 1/16 power, and it's going to light the front of me up, my face and my shirt, but it's also going to mess with the background. Let me show you what I mean. We're going to take this portrait yet again. Okay, now take a look at this shot. Do you see how in the lower corner of this shot, the orange is washing out? It's not as intense as the rest of the orange in this shot. And the reason for that is this main light here was falling back onto the wall and interacting with the gelled light. I'm going to turn off this gelled light and take another shot so you can see where that light is hitting the background. That's where it's affecting the color of the gelled light. Get out there. So look at this. Do you see all on my right, or the camera left side of the image, you've got spill from this light hitting the background and washing out that orange when the orange is present. So control when using your gels is incredibly important, which is why I'm going to use a flag and just put it up here on the edge of the light. And by doing that, I'm going to block that light from hitting the background and interfering with my gelled light. So with this back on, we're going to take this portrait yet again. Look at that. We've got some great orange behind me complementing my shirt. We've got some cool dramatic light on my front, and we've got this light up here controlled so that it doesn't interfere with this light right here. And as a quick side note, this is why it is so important when you are working with flash photography that you set one light up at a time when you're creating a portrait or any kind of a shot using flash photography. Because if you just set everything up all at once, you're not going to understand what's interfering with what. But by setting this light up first and then introducing this light second, I knew immediately that the loss of orange in my background was being caused by the new light I added to the shot. So now that we've done that, let's get a little bit more complicated. Let's actually light me up with some colored gels. So I've changed the setup here a little bit. This light is actually in the exact same spot it was before and is going to continue to be the main light on me. But what I've done now is I've color gelled this with the two orange gels that I was previously using on the background light. That's going to light up the left side of me as a subject. And then on my right here, I have another light. And this light is going to light up the right side of me, and it's going to be the secondary or the key light on me as a subject. Now this light also has a gel, and on there what I have is a teal. Now, how did I pick and why did I pick teal? For this particular example, I picked teal using a tried and true method, which is to go to the color wheel. If you look at the color wheel right here, you'll notice that across the wheel from orange is this teal color. And when you're looking at colors that are across from each other, they're what's called complementary colors. They pair well together. So if you're ever in a bind looking for a color combo that will work for you, one of the easy solutions is to take a look at a color wheel and pick a color that is on the opposite of the color you are working with as your primary. Another way you can pick great color combinations is to look at popular color combinations in logos and other places out in the world. As an example, red and yellow, which of course is the McDonald's color scheme, is a great color scheme. Another great example is green and red, which is a classic Christmas combination. And if you look at the FedEx logo, you've got purple and red together. So there are color combinations all around us. If you start noticing those color combinations, you'll be able to use them in your portrait. Now, we're going to start with light number one, because remember, you always want to work one light at a time. You'll also notice on this light here, I removed the flag. And that's significant, and I'll tell you why in a moment. Let's take a look at this shot right here. You can see we got this beautiful orange lighting up the left side of me as a subject. It really brings out the orange in the shirt and my catchphrase. And because I don't have a flag on this light up here, you see there's orange spilling off into the background on camera left. I want that orange back there, and the reason I want it back there is because of how it's going to interact with the light that's coming from my secondary light, my key light, on the camera left side of the shot. So now we're going to turn this light on. And this light over here, by the way, is at the exact same power. I didn't change the power on this one from before. It is at 1/4 power. This light over here is at 1/8 power. It is one stop less because it is my key complementing my main light. So now that this light is on, let's take this second portrait and see what it looks like. Boom, take a look at that. How cool does that look? The orange and the teal are complementary colors. They interact together beautifully. And because I allowed for these colors to spill onto the background spill light helps separate me because the teal from the camera left light is spilling over onto camera right, whereas on the camera right side of me, the orange is lighting me up, and the orange on me contrasts with the teal on the background. The same thing in reverse on my right side, the camera left side, where I'm lit up by the teal and the orange is spilling into the background. So this is another way you can use gels to create a really cool, fantastic look. Two main lights, two different colors, and the way those interact on me and with the background create a really cool and unique look. Now there's one more way I want to show you before we wrap this video up, and that's to take one of your lights and turn it into a kicker or a rim light. This is a really, really cool look. So let me get that set up. All right, all the setup is prepped now. You'll notice that my main light is still my main light. It's still up here. I still got the gels on it, and I've got a flag on it. For this particular shot, I want the background to stay as clean as possible. Again, this is all about control. And the reason for that is that we're using the secondary gelled light, which is over here, as a rim light. So we're going to take a look again at just the first light, so we can see what that looks like, and then we'll add in that second. So here we are, main light, same place, illuminating me in the same way. This one over here is set up with the grid on it, and the grid is a DIY grid. You can learn how to make it right here in this video, and it's got the same teal gel on it, and it is set to full power. in order to illuminate the right side of me, the camera left side. And because I have the grid on it, the light is very tightly controlled, which is going to keep it from spilling on the background. There'll be a little bit, but principally the background is going to be clean. Boom! I've got this nice orange lighting me up. Background is nice and dark. I've got this really cool teal on the other side lighting me up and creating contrast and separating me from the background. Again, the background stays clean. So that's how you can use colored gels to start making your portraits way more creative. If you have any questions about gels or flash photography, let me know down in the comments. And I want to know, have you already been using gels or are you just about to get started? Let me know down in the comments, and then do me a favor and like this video and subscribe to my channel. When you do, make sure to hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss a single one of my videos. And then you better get out there and take some damn photos. I'll see you in the next one. One of the first and easiest things you can do with your gel